Welcome back to another episode. I'm your host, Vincent Green.
I'm your host, John Tui.
And this is Dark Side of the Moon. Let's get to it, motherfuckers.
Oh, your dog, the invisible bone.
All right, Nolly Bones. What's the story, dude? We're back.
Cockatoo.
Fuck on, man. I'm just been doing a bit of making of peace and piecing of make. That's what I've been doing. How about you?
I've been watching the intro to Peacemaker over and over again. I've pretty much forgotten everything else that's even in this.
Yeah, so this is going to be a 30-minute episode about the intro of Peacemaker and all this choreography.
Everything, just the audaciousness of it, the song, everything. I love it.
So before we get stuck into this episode, it's obviously going to be about Peacemaker starring John Cena, directed by and created by James Gunn. If anyone hasn't seen the Suicide Squad episode, we're going to be running a new format some weeks on Dark Side of the Moon. It's going to be called One Shots, where we keep our episodes to a shorter format, around 30 to 40 minutes long. And that's what we're going to do. We're trying to do the weekly format. So just to keep content pumping out, we're going to try to keep the episodes a little shorter from time to time. So Noel, what did you make of Peacemaker when you first heard about it? And were you happy with John Cena from Suicide Squad carrying over to have his own standalone TV series?
I'd be lying if I said I had some sort of like big excitement about it. I really liked the Suicide Squad. So I thought, right, take a character out of it. For me, it would have been Polka Dot Man, maybe like gone back in time, you know, because I love that character so much. But I went into this like optimistic that I was going to enjoy it because James Gunn has earned that from me. At least, you know, give the guy the benefit of doubt and think you're going to be enjoyed. He rarely disappoints. But I didn't think I would love it as much as I did. I love the show. It was just so much fun.
Yeah.
And I'm a big classic rock guy and stuff like that. It worked for me on so many levels. The silliness, the violence, the action pack, all the D-list characters that James Gunn just seems to be breathing life into. So yeah. I really did. What about you?
To me, it was kind of like, 1980s pro wrestling come to life or something.
Oh my god!
That kind of way, like the style of the costumes, the overtop nature of the characters, the names, like everything just smacked of 1980s wrestling to me, and it was fucking awesome. It was like pro wrestling meets the boys.
Absolutely, yeah.
But
it had a lot of good dialogue. There was a lot of funny dialogue in this. It was.
James Gunn's a very witty writer, though. He does that a lot, like where he just kind of in every scene he'll kind of bring these kind of weird characters together, and he'll shine a light on what makes them weird in that moment, and like that kind of thing is kind of like he's constantly tongue in cheek, nod to the camera, like it's just like we know he's weird. As I said in the Suicide Squad episodes, they completely pay no attention to it, or they give every bit of attention to the weirdness of the character, and that's what I fucking love about James Gunn stories,
Yeah, and it's the thing, we thought the female agent name was Hardcore because everyone had a stupid name.
Yeah,
but it was Harcourt, as we found out when we were actually looking at the IMDb. So I went through like pretty much the entire series thinking she was like Hardcore.
Yeah,
but there we go.
Yeah, no,
graybeard, dyebeard.
That's James Dyebeard. Yeah, what was his fucking The Economist or something?
But I think the other thing about James Gunn, I think he gives a lot of slack for people just throw shit at a wall and see what sticks.
Yeah,
there's a lot of bloopers and stuff. Yeah, he gives a lot of bloopers if people want to just try something, and if it lands, it lands, and if it doesn't, no harm done. It seems like something where you're supposed to enjoy yourself, and I think that bleeds into your acting. No matter how good or bad an actor you are, it'll bleed right into it because that's the nature of it.
Yeah.
James Gunn is fun, man. James Gunn is fun.
Yeah, like and one thing as well, he gives us fun. Remember, we talked about Suicide, gives us deep moments, and he gives us this like weird, like introspective scenes. But he also gives you fucking amazing action, and the choreography,
incredible
fight sequence in this movie and this show is unbelievable. Like when we find out, we get introduced to the first butterfly that attacks John Cena's Peacemaker, Chris Smith, I think his name is, and
the senator.
When the woman fights, the woman fights him, where he bangs the girl. And they go upstairs.
Oh yeah, sorry, yeah.
That fight scene's incredible because you've no idea why she's that powerful. Like, you know what I mean?
No, and she's just like they have sex, and then she goes like all quiet, and then he's listening to like Styx or some classic rock band, and she's walking around, and she just comes at him with a knife. It was absolutely great.
And he fights.
I even loved there's a scene where he goes into the bedroom and you don't see anything. And I said to Sheila, I was watching with her, I said, he's come through the wall. And he just like bursts through, doesn't disappoint. Of course. And that just showed how fantastically over the top it all was. Eagerly, he gets the helmet. Of course, I don't know if this, I don't know. I'm not familiar with the character. I don't know if like helmets that all have a different capability was built in, but I think they said fuck it, they just went for it and had a lot of fun with it.
Yeah, because his helmet didn't seem to have anything going for it.
Nothing. It was a helmet. It was a symbol of peace or something, you know?
Yeah. What was I going to say? The fucking so the fight scene with Jawan, I love it. Was hilarious that he was in his whitey tighties the whole fight scene.
Yeah, exactly. The entire fight scene.
Exactly what he says. Like, I just think that's like James Gunn all over. It's a really serious moment. It's like a life or death moment, and it's like, I'm just going to have him fight in his underwear the whole fight. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's just pure ridiculousness. Like, and his relationship with his father, Robert Patrick, the guy who played T-1000, Terminator 2. And like, you know, he's like
great to see Robert at the age he is, kind of in something. And like, nobody goes. James Gunn went bold with like that level of racism. You know what I mean? Like, to try and have like, oh, a bad guy could be racist. That's fine. You can do that. But the complete and total like sarcasm and jokes and stuff that. I don't know. It worked, to be honest with you, because you're not supposed to root for him. It's not like pro racist. You see what he says to the Asian that she becomes a butterfly herself, and he says, you know, as they say in your native homeland, and he just said "ching chong ching chopsticks." And she was like, "Fuck," and she said something great back, like, "Oh, that actually means in my native tongue I have a stupid fucking haircut." And so, I don't know what it was, but she, you know, they had banter, and I was like, "Shit, I didn't think you could do that now." That was refreshing to me. That like racism is still bad. But you can still have bad characters being racist because it's fiction. Yeah, exactly. And that was refreshing to me. Yeah, Robert Patrick was a lovely little addition, I think. Yeah, I love the weird like little fucking contrast that Chris had with his father, because Chris is like Peacemaker. He's trying to have this like the personification of good. He's like their version of Captain America in a lot of ways, you know, that kind of thing. Like, he's fancies himself so,
like the truest, the bluest heroes he wants to be. Like, and he's a total mess, and his father's just horrific white supremacist fucking dirtbag.
Absolutely. Well, actually, I won't agree he's a mess. I think, I don't know if he's a mess. I actually think he was exercising his face. He never got. It was just that he was exercising his face. He wasn't crying, and I think that's important that we understand.
No, what do you mean? Like, I said.
I remember the scene where the vigilante catches him crying, and he's like, "I'm not crying. I'm exercising." Vigilante, another great character, completely and totally disconnected from like any sort of human emotion. A psychopath of the highest degree. But a loyal one. Loyal.
It's so fucked up. It's like, how'd you know it was me? I was talking to you a moment ago. You sound the exact same.
No, I don't.
Man,
you just changed your voice.
Yeah, that really annoyed me in Hawkeye. I forgot to mention the episode we're doing when Kate Bishop puts on the Ronin costume for the first time and she starts talking to the guests. There are people that know her personally that were talking to her at that party, and she doesn't try to disguise her voice at all. Like, you know what I mean? Like if you put on a costume and you just go, "Hey, Vinnie," and go, "All right, no."
One person at the party is your mother, or something. You know what I mean? Like your actual mother, who you have a close relation. In fact, you live alone with. You know, absolutely, it's a completely different animal. Yeah, I know. I love the way they pointed that out, because like, I hate in shows and I hate in superhero stuff where the Batman mask, like, you would tell that who that is. If you meet Bruce Wayne, you meet Batman. I ran into Mark Carey. We call him Chubbs. You remember? I ran into him. I hadn't seen him in that's cool. Yeah, I ran into him. I hadn't seen him in 5 or 6 years. Not today. You ran him today. I ran into him a few months back. I hadn't seen him in yonks. And I went, it's Crackman. How are you? Yeah. He was wearing a mask. He was wearing a mask. I haven't seen him in years. I didn't hear his voice. I just looked at his eyes, looked at his face. I went, "There's half of Mark's face. I recognize him." Like, it's so disconcerting. Like, Batman's the other half where you can't see. Like, you think if I can tell who you are without seeing your jawline, I can't tell who you are without seeing your forehead. Yeah, man, that really annoyed me, because like, when I was watching Arrow, starring Stephen Amell on CW, when I was watching that, like, when he was the Green Arrow, he used to just wear his hood up. And he used to have his eyes covered, and he used to have the voice modifier, which I used to like. He actually changed his voice. That makes sense. Yeah, that makes sense. But when he was outside operating in different places, when he wasn't supposed to be the Green Arrow, he used to wear a full mask that covered his entire face. Wear that all the time, dude. All the time. Like, all the time. Like, if I become a vigilante, you're standing there talking to the police, and a gust of wind just takes it on. You're just yourself wearing eyeshadow. And by the way, you're a billionaire. playboy. You know what I mean? You're not like
Yeah,
oh, I've
and
never
you
seen that dude in my life.
and you already have the mask.
Yeah, you already have the mask.
Like Spider-Man.
This is where Spider-Man. This is where
Yeah.
Spider-Man gets props.
Yeah.
Like the gambit runs from Spider-Man to Clark Kent for me. You know what I mean?
Spider-Man, you can't even tell his race.
Yeah.
And that's what I thought was the best about Spider-Man suit.
I'll say this, but what I loved about Christopher Reeves as Superman was that you couldn't believe that somebody like Christopher Reeves could be Superman because he was such a buffoon.
Yeah.
That I will give him.
Yeah,
I thought that was a great thing about the original Superman. You know, he gets caught in the dump, the waiter's carrying the suitcases upstairs, and he gets caught in the thing he's carrying. It's like, oh my god, I'm such a klutz, and then he's Superman. That I kind of
hidden in plain sight because he's the last person that you look at.
Exactly, and I like the Suicide Squad has fun with the tropes.
Yeah,
they had a lot of fun with the tropes.
Yeah, like fucking
Aquaman fucks fish, poop. Superman is a poop fetish.
Oh no, you mean Peacemaker? Yeah, you said Suicide Squad there a second ago. It just threw me off, Noel. I was like, shit, what are we talking about again? I was like, I haven't had enough sleep this week. I like fucking been chained to my laptop all week, like it's fucking insanity. But what I liked about was they had these fucked up characters, and even though they had no emotional attachment to anyone, they all seem to have this weird loyalty to one another. Like it's like, you know what I mean, outside of their group, it's like they hated humanity. Like even though they pretended that they were helping humanity, a lot of the time they were causing way more harm than they were actually, like, you know what I mean? Like like vigilantes, you said, a complete sociopath. Like
see where he has the whole rant about, like, you know, like killing people for like murders or graffiti. What's it, just some like 17-year-old kid writing like Ja Rule or something, and you know, and just getting wiped out by vigilante. Then somebody who's like killed 6 people, no difference. Cannot. He's even in bed and they're smoking a joint, and he's like, "You're lucky that shit's legal now. 6 months ago, I would have killed you both." What a great character. Great casting, by the way. Like the best casting in this whole show, for my money, was Vigilante.
Yeah,
he was incredible.
Yeah,
everything, the body type, the voice, the face, the mannerisms, everything. Yeah, it was perfection.
Every time he had the mask off, he has this like coiffed hair, and he just has glasses on. He just looks like a normal dude. And
so unimpressive.
As soon as he starts talking, like, this guy is horrifically dangerous.
Horrifically dangerous.
Like he's like a perfect, like he would be a serial killer if he wasn't.
Oh yeah,
like a vigilante, like literally as his name says. He would literally just be out there just killing people. Like, you know what I mean? A serial killer. Like, you know what I mean? He just comes across as like a total, like somebody you see in a true crime documentary, where it's just
100%.
This guy
completely detached.
Yeah, like he's completely normal, like completely harmless looking. But as soon as you start talking to him and start digging away at that fucking brain of his, like you can see how fucked up he is. Like, you know,
there's no bad casting in this. There's nobody gets towed along. There's nobody who gets dragged along by the great presence of anyone else. There's characters that you might prefer, and that's fine. That's the show. That's the way it always is. But there was nobody I felt got dragged by kicking and screaming through this. I just liked everyone in the role.
Yeah, and what did you think of, like, outside of the ensemble cast, that like the major backbone in this show was the narrative of the butterflies themselves? James Gunn, we spoke about in the Suicide Squad episode, that I mentioned that he wears his influences on his sleeves, and obviously just like us, he's a big fan of like pod people, body snatchers, all that kind of shit, and these kind of like little creatures that get inside your head, kind of similar to Slither, where they get inside your head and they kind of control you. But unlike Slither, they're not trying to create this gigantic singular organism.
Like the Thing meets Ratatouille.
Yeah, what the fuck? That's
they're just getting
see now.
Yeah, actually, it is Ratating.
Yeah, Ratating.
Tingatouille, I don't know.
Tingatouille. I like it. Oh, that's good. That's good. I'm actually seeing it now, and it's kind of creeping me out and arousing me. We leave that there for another time. You know what I mean?
But yeah, it was a cool. I don't know. I'm not familiar with them from comics. I'm not going to lie. I have absolutely no idea. Yeah. Starro, all that kind of stuff from Suicide Squad. I've read thousands of comics with them in it. Yeah. But the butterfly, I assume they exist in some format in the DC comics. But I'd never seen them before, and I enjoyed them. Gee, I definitely enjoyed them. Yeah. I thought it was such a visually impressive show, and they were such a visually impressive antagonist, whatever, ambitagonist, whatever they end up being.
Yeah.
But I the first one you see from the senator when it flies out of his skull and just goes up in the air, I was just like, wow, this show is just it's just going directions. It's just having fun with itself.
Yeah.
It's a golden age of television. It really, really is.
What did you think of the design of the butterflies? They're fucking cool looking, weren't they?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
They're absolutely perfect. There was nothing at all I would have changed about them.
Yeah, and the scene where the way they get into people and they go into the mouth and they're like fucking coughing up blood and shit. Like,
yeah, exactly, because it burrows up into the brain and it's a pretty painful death, to be fair.
Yeah. Like, that's fucked up as well. I love when they start talking. Like, something I mentioned about where demonic, I thought kind of got it wrong. It's on a previous episode of Potty Snatchers was that the revelations, the scenes where they give you that exposition where they have to show the old medical examination of Gabriel when he's attached to the main character. I can't remember her name.
You're thinking of Malignant, not the.
Oh, sorry, Malignant. Sorry, not demonic. Which we also did in a previous episode of that. When we see the tumor and stuff, and you get to see all the exposition. But I love this when they explain how the butterflies came to be, how they discovered them, this fucking worldwide conspiracy, and the exposition character, and they do it very, very fluidly in this, like, you know what I mean? And that's what I was going to say, the comparison I'm making, that when you give exposition and shit like that, you kind of have to do it seamlessly and fluidly so you don't feel that exposition dump. And sometimes when you get that exposition,
this always got on with it. You always felt like they were getting on with it. They never felt like, let's all just sit down and we need to explain some things to you because there's jokes and they're mocking it. And they had the PowerPoint presentation with a butterfly going up the ass.
Yeah.
And, you know, so they're explaining to you, but they never lose their flow.
Yeah, you know they're, like, they're almost like because originally when they talk about it, they're like, oh, we found them initially in two governors, they're in a plane or something, they crashed, we found them in their head during the autopsy, and they just kind of move along, and then they have that scene you're talking about where they literally piss take the exposition dump. Where they're like, you know what I mean? Like, and that's what you're saying about a minute ago. It's like where they get tropes in this fucking show and they just have so much fun with them. They're just like, you
never
know what I mean?
Stop having fun.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Like,
never stop having fun.
Because James Gunn's so clever at that. He's so clever, kind of like breaking that fourth wall, the wink and nod to the audience while he's still seamlessly telling a fucking ridiculously entertaining story. Like, he does it constantly. Like, you know what I mean? Like, and it never takes away from the story, the self-awareness. Like, you know what I mean? The meta-ness of it. Like in that.
No, it doesn't.
Yeah, like, because even in that scene where it's supposed to be really serious, you said it's like up the butthole. The guy who made the PowerPoint presentation decided to take some liberties. He's like, you said orifice. He's like, yeah, there's another orifice.
The anus is an orifice. He goes, yeah, no, it's possible. Superman's an alien. He's a poop fetish. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, do you remember? And he's like, I really worked hard in that.
But even the I actually think the only character that wasn't fleshed out was Kia, who had been the wife of Leota. You know, like she was
an
kind
ancillary
of there.
Character, though. You know?
Yeah, she was, but literally anyone who was in the dance in the intro, even that neighbor who's always out trimming his hedges, they got something. You know, they got a little something for them. Yeah. And I think maybe her. That's it. And it's a very minor complaint, isn't it?
Yeah,
because everyone I felt fleshed out and I cared about in some sort of way.
I really like the way James Gunn's gone about where we spoke about in the Suicide Squad, the kaiju. He introduced the kaiju to DC, and now he's introducing these kind of like interplanetary fucking parasitic creatures that get into our brains, kind of like the way certain wasps do and shit like that, and they fucking control us, like, you know what I mean, kind of like make us puppeteers, like the pod people, body snatchers. And I love the way he's introducing these new elements into the DC universe. I don't know if it's still the DCEU, what way they're framing or what way they're calling them, because I know Flashpoint is seemingly going to do a lot of changes. But I love the way he's trying new things. Like, we're always looking for something new. We mentioned before that he gets like a superhero show like Peacemaker, and that could be a very simple A to B procedural cop show in a lot of people's eyes. But he adds the white supremacy. I don't know if that's from the comics, but he has that there, the white supremacy, the racial tension, the pod people, the fucking serial killer fucking sidekick. You know what I mean? Like, he gets all these different things, and he's like, I'm going to add new things to it. And I love the way the direction he's going, where he's adding these kind of like the kaijus and the mind control, like intergalactic creatures and shit, but also he keeps these kind of more grounded kind of things as well attached to it. So and I think with Guardians of the Galaxy and the holiday special being his last things he does with MCU, I think he'll go back now and work maybe more with Warner Brothers, and we might see more of his influence with Suicide Squad, maybe more Peacemaker.
If you want a challenge, you go DC, I think.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, if Marvel have like an absolutely solid grounding, anti-gravitational platform that cannot, it's just, they just print their own money, and he could be a part of that, and probably will again, Guardians of the Galaxy and all that kind of stuff. But if you want to challenge, somebody get this DC universe off the ground. Because
Sleeping Giant,
and Snyder's, there, and Gunn is there, and
J.J. Abrams.
I mean, even despite everything, I'm still a DC. I love Marvel. Love Marvel. Like, it's not so much competition for me because I love them both. But I love the properties that DC has. I grew up a Superman fanboy. I got into Batman in my teens, like you do if you're a comic nerd. And so the potential there is just so huge. And to see somebody kind of been able to tap into it with D-listers and make it that much fun. Now, I know with the bigger properties, you're probably not allowed to have as much fun in the sense that you have to do this perceived justice by them.
Yeah.
But I think James Gunn, my God, like just give him a blank piece of paper. He writes a number on it and just let him fucking have it, as far as I'm concerned. Like, I'm trying to critique this, but there was nothing about it I didn't like. It was just fun, man.
Yeah, I just think
just fun.
I think with the advent of Deadpool, and you see the boys coming out and stuff like this, and the success they've had, that people understand now superhero stuff can be R-rated. And James Gunn has done this with Super as well back in the day with the dude from The Office, Rainn Wilson, is that his name?
Superbad or something.
Called Super. Superbad was the comedy with Jonah Hill and Michael Cera. But I just think it shows that, like, something we talk about fucking an infinitum over here on Darkside, is that the superhero genre is incredibly versatile, and there's so much leeway you can have with that genre in terms of the subgenres you can incorporate. But not only that, the tones that you use to tell your story. You can have a Shazam, and at the very same time, you can have a Suicide Squad, and they can both operate within the same universe if you want them to, and they have completely different tones. One's more family orientated, one's more heartwarming. Shazam, the adventure of the boy Billy Batson becomes a superhero, and then you have the Suicide Squad, all these fucking rejects, these fucking crazy motherfuckers getting butchered in court Maltese left, right, and center. And like, you can have those.
Had a lot of that.
Yeah, you know what I mean? And you can have that in the same slate of movies. And James Gunn is showing as well, again, with Peacemaker, that you can have a superhero show, you can put it on primetime television or streaming service like HBO Max, you can have it R-rated, you can have vicious violence, you can have crazy fucking fight scenes, you can have all these body horror elements, you can have all this fucking racial tension stuff. You can really do these things, and you can tell all these stories, and you can have an audience that's widespread and have mass appeal, even if it's not a PG-13 property. And that is there now for people, and they're seeing it, that the Boys success, Deadpool success, Suicide Squad success, now you're seeing it with Peacemaker success. The R-rated superhero properties is a goldmine every bit as much as a general rated or universal rated or PG-13 rated, and the audience will flock to see these things. And now we're going to see more R-rated fucking superhero content. I think so, and I think James Gunn's going to be at the helm of that, and Seth Rogen and Evan Goldberg over in Amazon doing the Boys, doing wonders over there. And I think people are starting to see that all superhero movies do not need to be PG-13,
Yeah, they definitely don't. And there is even a market for people who don't really care about the more innocent stuff, because they try to make it open to everyone. Ergo, they're bringing their grandkids, they're bringing their kids, and everyone. It's fun for all the family. Yeah. And some people don't want it. And some people literally just want something that's just for them. So even if it's got a niche market, you will hit a higher percentage of the niche market.
Yeah.
And you'll see people anyway. Will be absolutely, yeah. And you will absolutely be all over it, like flies on shit. And that's what we were. And this series, it was so authentically, it was like it wasn't meant for anyone. It was like James Gunn made it for James Gunn.
Yeah.
If you liked it, then that's great.
That's what they say.
Awesome.
The best creators.
Yeah, but that's it. Make it for yourself. Make it for yourself. And this was something, honest to God, it was like he didn't care if it made a penny. He just made something that he thinks would be the best version of Peacemaker that he could make. He had so much fun with the characters, but even just the natural way they kind of were with each other, it didn't feel polished. And that's what was so charming about it, I dare say. And I don't know, I wouldn't have changed a thing for it. I actually wish more things, like Marvel can be quite polished.
Yeah.
DC is a lot of things, but it's not polished. And I really think the Peacemaker is an excellent example of that. And it's definitely something I want to see more of. It's not a type of entertainment that I'm sick of. It's not a type of entertainment that I've been exposed to so much that it's more of the same.
Yeah.
It's not a sitcom. You know, it's not 1,000 shows trying to be friends. It's not. It feels like it's new ground. And man, more than anything, what I want is new.
Yeah.
New.
To me, it felt
Peacemaker felt new.
Yeah, to me, it felt completely like it was in the Boys universe. The way it was shot, absolutely. The tone, the way the gore was done, like everything. I could imagine Peacemaker and a Homelander 100%.
100%.
You know what I mean? And that's what I loved about it. Like, you know, and I think we had to touch on what you said about Marvel is that they have such a fixation with broad appeal or mass appeal in terms of like they have to be a specific way in a specific tone, because we spoke about in our phase 1 series on Dark Side that they were kind of darker a lot in terms of their tone in a lot of the earlier movies, and they've become a lot lighter, and we call it like the Disneyfication of Marvel. And you'll see that with Marvel that they have kind of chosen a lane to do it better than anybody, but they're going to stay in that lane. And they're going to tell us fantastic stories. Don't get me wrong. Like Multiverse of Madness, I'm sure it's going to have a lot of horror elements. The reason Sam Raimi was brought into replace Scott Derrickson, two of them are experienced horror directors, is what they have a commonality, let alone like, you know, both of them work on superheroes. Even though Marvel will darken their tone at times, depending on the story, that we will only get to see these R-rated things, I think, from DC. And I think Warner Brothers and DC are starting to understand, let's not be another Marvel. Let's be an alternative to Marvel in the same way we had been in the graphic novels for many, many years, where our tone is darker, but not just visually darker in the same way that Zack Snyder seems to think that for something to seem dark in tone, it has to be very visually dark and filled with grays. It doesn't. You can really convey darkness in moments that look real, and you can actually see them in total clarity. Because a lot of the criticisms that were levied at Zack Snyder's movies, the DC movies, are just too dark in terms of like visually. You can't really see a lot of what's going on.
Oh, yeah. That kind of brown to black overlay on everything. Yeah, sepia kind of looking. Yeah, I wasn't into it.
The mid-2000s post-apocalyptic look that we got in all those movies, like back in the day. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? That gray filter put over, you know, that kind of thing. Like, you can tell dark stories and you can have serious undertones and overtones, but have it just look bright. And that sometimes really fucks with you when you see these really bright. Yeah,
it's a juxtaposition of one thing over another. And like it doesn't take away. Yeah. And it's the thing, that's it. Just think about it. You know, there isn't always an obvious answer. Dark should be dark, and light should be light. There is that nuance. And I think this captured it really, really well, because it dealt with a lot of gray, but the people were dressed like Power Rangers. It was brilliant.
Yeah, exactly. Like what you make of the Master Judo or Judo Master, sorry.
Oh God, I loved it. Always eating Cheetos, like flaming hot Cheetos. Don't know why, but that was a great little.
Just like character tidbit or something. Like.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Oh God, no, he was great. I loved him. I thought he was excellent. He introduced himself so well. He just came and kicked the shit out of everybody, and then he's like flaming throwing Cheetos at Peacemaker, and then he gets almost beaten to death with a tire iron. And that's fine. He gets shot. That's fine. Yeah, and he just keeps coming back, and he's just this unstoppable little kick-ass. Oh, he's absolutely the whole scene where he's outside the store and he's eating the Cheetos, and these guys come by and mock him, and they just come back out, and he just fucking destroys both of them.
Do you remember the scene where he attacks them the first time that John Cena, Peacemaker, was sent in to execute a family of butterflies?
Yeah,
and he can't do it, and they give the gun to Vigilante, isn't it?
And he's just takes out the kids first.
Yeah, Papa Bear down. Baby Bear down. Yeah.
Baby Bear down, yeah. They took the wife out first. They took down the kids, yeah. And he's like,
he's such a fucking brilliant psychopath, though, isn't he? Like,
oh my God, he's fantastic. You know, it's almost like pouring milk on cereal or high-powered sniper rifle taking out a child. No difference between the two.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
just get it done.
Yeah, it's just another day. It's like Dexter. Like,
it's means to an end. Absolutely, it's fantastic.
Yeah. And what did you think of like John Cena as Peacemaker, because we haven't
Yeah, we
really
should
touched
finish.
him.
We could finish. Yeah, we should finish up on that. I think John Cena finally found his footing. Like I watched some movies. He's been acting for nearly 20 years now.
Really?
And yeah, well, remember he had that whole thing where remember that film that came out in about 2007 or six, and he was like he had a
Oh, 12
at one point
rounds.
he's yeah, you remember that shit?
Yeah, the
And
WWE movie.
where he's running at these guys shooting him, and he's holding a bulletproof vest. And I was like,
Yeah.
the whole point is a bulletproof vest works because there's something behind the bulletproof vest. The bullet would just lift the bulletproof vest to shoot you. But I know it was absolute tripe, but he was wooden. But now, and I've seen him in a few things and he's okay, but that thing where he's a parent trying to protect his daughter's virginity. But he got circles acted around him by the people around him. He was good, but he wasn't the best thing about it. And a Peacemaker, he just seemed to be like all of that inhibition just felt like it was gone.
Yeah.
He just felt like he found a character that he was going to own. And I was really, really happy. He just reached a new level. And it's just, experience, confidence, and just kind of coming to fruition with something that he obviously cares a lot about the property. Credit to him.
And
Huge credit to the man.
Do you think that's a case of John Cena, as you said, growing in confidence as an actor, or do you think it's him being paired with the correct director that got it out of him?
I think it's all of the above.
Yeah.
All of the above. I not to keep it simple. I do think that, he sat down and said, I want to make this work. And he had somebody who filled him full of confidence, like James Gunn, because he knows what James Gunn can do. He's like, wow, yeah, no, I have the band together now.
Yeah.
And I'm definitely going to pull my weight inside of it.
Yeah. Yeah. So he just think it was a case of like, he knew that if he kind of showed up, that James Gunn would get the best out of him. So
exactly.
And it just kind of like, if you know that a director can get the best out of you, bring your A game, and it just kind of elevates everything. Like in the cast itself, like a lot of them were kind of silly characters, whatever. But because James Gunn's there, and because we talked about he loves these kind of weird, kooky characters, these D-listers, and he gives them new depth and new fucking layers and shit like that. And that's what he did with like Robert Patrick's what was his character's name? Sorry, something dragon.
White Dragon.
The White Dragon. Yeah, the White Dragon, and like with Vigilante. And like we even see Amanda Waller's daughter in this and stuff. Like, so he incorporated the DC universe, the kind of greater one, but using all these D-list characters, and he elevated them all in a great fucking way. Like he did that as well with the Suicide Squad, as you said in Suicide Squad episode. He did with Polka Dot Man and King Shark and all these like kind of C-list, D-list characters in a way that Joss Whedon couldn't do with Superman and Batman. And he gave us a fucking excellent movie, and like one that we all came out smiling. And then with Peacemaker, again, it's the exact same tone Suicide Squad. It slotted perfectly into that world. It followed perfectly after the events of the movie. And obviously he knew about the show going into the movie because he kept John Cena around. He left it open-ended with Suicide Squad. So like, I just think it was because the love he has for these types of characters. I think Peacemaker, once again, just like Suicide Squad, is way better than any writing that it actually had going into it. Like, I had no expectations going into this, but we have James Gunn. You're like, it's going to be fun at least. But once again,
he's earned that.
Even
like I said at the start, he's earned that. He just has.
Yeah, and it's
like,
gone
to put respect on the name.
Yeah, so it's not even now. It's like it's fun and quality. He's evolved so much as a director since Guardians of the Galaxy 2. Or Guardians of the Galaxy 2 was felt more like fun, but was lacking a little bit of the quality of the first one. But it seems now that he's really evolving as a director, and I can't wait to see what he does with Guardians of the Galaxy 3.
Oh yeah, he's all of my attention, definitely.
Yeah, and do you think we're going to see more of Peacemaker and maybe more of the Suicide Squad, and both directed by James Gunn?
Yes, we're going to. Yeah, absolutely. It made bank. It was acclaimed. People were impressed. You got a good thing, and they're both in their infancy. It's going to be kept going. Absolutely.
Yeah, I hope
definitely
so.
At least one season and one more film. Definitely.
Yeah, I hope so too. Even if it's a slight detriment to Guardians of the Galaxy with the Guardians characters themselves, even if you don't have them standalone movies together, like as in Guardians Galaxy standalone movies, those characters can be incorporated into other films, and other writers can write them, maybe not to the exact specifications of a James Gunn, but maybe to a certain quality. Like you're going to see a lot of Star-Lord and stuff like that in Taika Waititi's Thor: Love and Thunder, and I can see going forward that James Gunn mentioning that this is going to be the last iteration we see of this Guardians Galaxy team together, that he's going to leave Marvel that Guardians of the Galaxy team are going to see some deaths, most likely Dave Bautista's Drax, because he's been very outspoken. He's defense James Gunn, and he's probably not going to do any movies without him. So we're probably going to see some deaths in the next Guardians movie. And those characters that remain are going to be scattered around other franchises. And that's how we're going to see them continue on, with James Gunn probably going to go double back and go to Warner Brothers. And maybe if he doesn't do another Suicide Squad, we'll definitely see another season of Peacemaker, I think. Maybe we'll get to see something else, maybe like a Polka Dot Man show or something, which, anything he does, I'm going to be there for. And I'd really, even
100%.
though I'd love to see more Guardians of the Galaxy movies, as long as those characters remain, I'd be happy to see James Gunn going and really beefing up Warner Brothers so we can get to see lots of different types of entertainment from both sides,
Well said, man. And watch this space.
Yeah, exactly. Watch this space. So, all right, folks. Noel, you've not anything to say, or we get the fuck out of here?
Let's get the fuck out of here.
All right, let's get the fuck out of here. All right, folks. This is Dark Side of the Moon. I'm your host, Vincent Green.
I'm your host, Anton Tui.
And that was Peacemaker. See you next time, motherfuckers. Peace.
Peace.